Hello and welcome to Guild Wars Players News, the podcast where we take a look at the Guild Wars games, series, news, and we talk about content on our site, Guild Wars Players. I am your host, Draculetta, and we don't have Sithrith here this week, which you can pretty much guess because she's the one that normally says this bit right now. She is off celebrating her birthday, so happy birthday, Sithrith. But with me, as always, we do have a Thelrose.
Yeah, I guess I'll do.
Yeah, guess you'll have to do. But see, at least I'm here so the show can go on, because apparently when I'm not here, you guys can't do a show properly.
Oh, absolutely not.
So we don't have a lot of game news this week, but we will go ahead and talk about the one little nugget that we do have, and that was the latest Point of Interest video. They took a look at the new Lion's Arch. They gave some little background on what they were thinking when they designed the city, and they talked about the Karka event, which I have not done yet still, but Sithrith and Atheros have done that.
Mm-hmm. A time it was.
That's what I heard. I still don't think I'm going to do it, but we'll see. And also something that I didn't realize that I thought was kind of a little cool little thing they talked about is one of the devs said you might find yourself in some out-of-the-way places while you're crab hunting. So keep an eye out for Josh's signature coins. He plants these in areas that refer to negative possibility space, is what he says. Places that players can reach with some effort, but they contain no content. This coin is an acknowledgement that the explorers have done something cool by finding a way into those places.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I didn't either until I watched this video, so now I think I'm going to have to run around Lion's Arch and see if I can find some of these coins. But from what they said, they're pretty hidden and out of the way.
I probably have found some, I just didn't realize it, depending on how big these coins are.
And the video runs about an hour and 15 minutes, so it's a little long, but it is pretty nice to see the devs' thoughts on why they designed Lion's Arch, or the new Lion's Arch, I should say, the way that they did.
The theme park, you mean?
Yeah, the Lion's Arch theme park, as I still call it, and I will always call it that, sorry. But that is really it for game news. There is just not much going on. Still no real expansion news, which I'm thinking we've got to start getting some expansion news soon, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of been teased about certain parts, like the guild halls or the stronghold, I think it was called, the PvP thing.
Yeah, stronghold.
We haven't really been told major features like the actual concrete stuff, especially the the hearts and how much we're getting and stuff like that is probably kind of important at this stage.
So hopefully stay tuned for some updated Heart of Thorns expansion news. But we do have new stuff in the gem store this week, like we always do. The monk's outfit can be had for 700 gems. It's okay, I guess. It reminds me a lot of the original Guild Wars, which I think it's kind of a little throwback to the original Guild Wars, because a lot of the heroes you can have in the original Guild Wars, the two monks that you can get do wear outfits similar to this.
I mean, I guess you shouldn't expect too much style from a monk's outfit.
Right. The thing that I don't understand, though, is why do we have monk outfits when we don't actually have monks?
I've never even seen any in-game, not even NPCs or anything.
Yeah, so I'm but anyway. And also, I guess, another word of warning, I guess I'll say about it, is I did see on the forums and on Reddit that this has some severe clipping issues, apparently.
Worse than average. That must be bad.
Yeah, there's some people that are saying on certain character models this looks really, really bad. So I guess do your homework and maybe look for some pictures of it. But there's that. And then we also have a new die kit that is in the gem store. It's called the Lion's Arch Rebuild Die Kit. And you have a shot at the Strawberry, Onset, Morning Glory, Banana, Brass, and Amenity dies. It's a 25 random, let me see. It's the 6 exclusive colors from that pool of 25 random dies. They are 125 gems each, or you can get a 5-pack for 500 gems, or 25 for 2,500 gems.
Those are some bright colors.
And all I'm saying is I want that strawberry.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
That strawberry is awesome. But
Seems a little bright for you, to be honest.
yeah, actually, it is a little bright red, but it's awesome. I mean, it would just
Sure, you could make use of it.
I could, so we'll see.
I don't want anyone using that banana. I really don't.
Screenager, speaking of the banana in our chat, says, "Hold on, banana sold." So,
Please don't use that. Please don't.
It's pretty banana-y. It's definitely...
It's too much banana.
Maybe if you would splash it in with another color, but just to have a whole outfit banana, that would be a bit much, I think.
To say the least, yes.
So that's it for game news, as it were, this week. Over on our site, Guild Wars Players, Sithith put up a little article entitled Lion's Arch Exterminator Guide. And I think, Othelrosh, you're going to talk about this?
Yeah. Myself and Sithith did go around doing this Karka killing achievement, and it was quite a trial. It took us, I think, over 3 hours to get all of them. I think around 5 we got most of them on. It was kind of fun, but also very, very time-consuming and a bit annoying. So yeah, a guide put up on Dolphy actually did create a guide to getting all these, even with separate spoiler things if you want to kind of find the where this one specific one is, but don't want to spoil the rest of them for yourself. It's actually quite nice.
Well, that's nice that you have that option to do it that way.
There's a lot of times we actually did kind of look to do that when we would certain ones we were stuck on. We wanted to do those, but carry on doing the rest of them ourselves. So that is actually a really nice feature. So yeah, if you need help getting those, I do not blame you in the slightest, because some of those areas are very, very evil of the developers to put them there, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what you guys were saying. You were saying some of them are quite tricky to get to.
Very devious. So yeah, absolutely, if you want severe help with getting that achievement done, this is where you need to go.
All right, excellent. And of course, as you said, that's on Dolphy.net, and she does some amazing guides anyway. So always look to Dolphy for your guides. And our video spotlight this week is an older video. It's the Guild Wars voice cast video. And basically what this is, they are talking to all the voice actors, and they're kind of telling you, what they were thinking and how they went in to create the voices for their characters. And once again, I did say this is an older video, and you can really tell because some of the character models have changed and some of the voices have been tweaked a little bit. But the most important part of this video starts at 2 minutes and 2 seconds.
Oh, absolutely.
And that is when Felicia Day starts talking about giving Zojja her voice in game. And ergo, that brings up why I said it is an older video, because Zojja's voice is different in this video. Well, it's a little different in this video.
Not quite refined yet.
It's always good to hear what Miss Day was thinking when she created the wonderful character of Zojja, though. So go check that video out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, sure.
And we do have a weekly community outfit, as always, this week. And it is Grima Mykor, a Norn necromancer. And it comes to us courtesy of Freemu. Freemu, there we go. That'll work.
This is quite an interesting outfit, actually, for a necromancer. You don't often see them using kind of more, I guess, nicer color schemes. Usually when you see them out in the world, they're kind of just black or green. Sometimes red.
Yeah,
something kind of peachy.
I do like this outfit, but it didn't say... I mean, if I would have seen this, I wouldn't have thought, hey, this is a necromancer.
I think it was a mesmer or something.
But I love this outfit, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for reference to people who are interested in what the actual outfit is, it is the Havroon mantle, cableless coat, Aurora gloves, Aurora leggings, and Phoenix shoes. The weapon is the Lovestruck staff, Princess wand, and Poyaqui's noggin. Interesting name for that. The dyes are Demure, Peach Ice, Terracotta, Papaya, Pottery, Copper Penny, and Peach Sunset. Very pinkish colors, all of them. And again, I'm not that experienced with the cosmetic system, so I was not aware there's many pink colors in the game. Of course, I'm wrong.
And in the email they sent to us, they said, "Who is the prettiest pastelmancer in all of the land? This Norn is!" And yes, this is a very pretty little outfit. That is true. Like I said, does not scream necromancer to me, but I love the outfit, though.
Can't say I've seen any other pastelmancers, so this will have to be the prettiest one.
That would be the prettiest one, because pretty sure you are the only one. But thank you for sending that in. If you have an outfit you are proud of, you can send that to us at contact@guildwarsplayers.com. And please make sure that you include your character's name, your race, your profession, and what armors and what dyes you have used. And you can get some helpful hints on taking some screenshots and stuff on the post that we post every week under the weekly community outfit on guildwarsplayers.com. And that is it for our site this week, too. It's just kind of a slow news week and a slow week for the site this week.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because it's the beginning of, well, at least here in the States, it's the beginning of summer, so I think everybody's...
Yes, I'm feeling the summer over here, too.
Are you? Well,
Not enjoyable.
Yeah, it's getting hot here, too. So let's take a look at our lore book this week. And this week, of course, we're going to talk about Zojja. Zojja in-game is a highly respected Asuran elementalist goalmancer, and she's a member of the College of Synergistics. She was an extremely skilled apprentice of the famed inventor Snaf. After Destiny's Edge broke apart, Zojja begins to blame Air for the group's failure, which comes out in-game quite a lot during the personal story.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, she often has a very short temper, and that especially flares up anytime anyone mentions Snaf. So,
yeah.
You want to say something else? I know you do.
I refrain.
You refrain.
I refrain.
You pass the floor to me. Okay. Of course, Zojja is voiced in-game by voice actress Felicia Day. And if you're wondering what armor she's wearing in-game, that is the Tier 3 Asuran Cultural Armor, the Servant armor. Kadu, which is her arch nemesis, wears a exact mirrored replica of her armor, which
Kadu
I guess
is basically Dr. Evil.
Basically, yes. I never thought about that, and I guess I never realized, I never paid attention when he's around that he actually has a mirrored version of her armor. I guess I'm gonna have to pay attention to that next time.
Never noticed, actually.
Yeah, that was something I'm like,
I guess it makes sense since he was also, I believe, an apprentice of
Snaf.
Snaf.
Yes, he was. And of course, there is a mini Zojja in game if you would like to have little Zojja running around with you, which I do all the time, as I'm sure Sithrath and Atharos can attest to. Every time we play together, they have to put up with my little Zojja. And of course, Zojja has her personal golem, who is Mr. Sparkles. And Mr. Sparkles holds a very special place in the history of Guild Wars. He was a golem created by the Asuran Flumux, and it was named by his Selvari assistant Surab. While traveling through the Shiver Peak, their caravan got intercepted by some Jotun, and the golem detonated while they were fighting them. Later, Flumux needed some money, so Serab sold the golem to Zojja. Zojja then heavily customized it, and she currently owns it. And Sarab used his share of the money from when he sold Mr. Sparkles to help even Nashblade found the Black Lion Trading Company.
I did not know that. That's
so
pretty cool.
If there wouldn't be Mr. Sparkles, there wouldn't be a Black Lion Trading Company. So there you go. You can kind of thank Zojja for the Black Lion Trading Company. See, everything comes back to Zojja.
I refrain.
Oh, Athelros, what did you do in game?
Quite a lot, actually. Probably firstly to mention, we did, myself, you, and Sithrath went and did Straits of Devastation, which we had almost finished before, and fully completed Melkor's Leap in Ore. Fun zones.
Yeah, and Malkor's didn't actually take us as long as I thought it was going to. We burned through that pretty quickly, actually.
Yeah, I was actually somewhat surprised, although I think Straits is probably quite by a fair margin the worst of the ore zones, just because of how often the waypoints become contested, and it's a pretty big zone just in general. But yeah, it wasn't that bad, actually. I made a fair bit of money. A couple of the vistas were a bit difficult to get.
And again, I state the Straits and even Malkor's was so much better doing it with a group of people.
Yep, definitely.
So much easier.
If you're going to do these, if you can, try and find some other people to do it with. Not only is it easier, particularly a couple of the certain parts that needed people around to help you, it's just more fun in general. Aside from that, I did completed the personal story on my Asura Necro, which was interesting because obviously I got to experience the revamped stuff, which came out with the most recent patch. For the most part, I think it was pretty much the same. Obviously, I did make different choices from before in terms of like what routes to go and stuff, but it seemed mostly the same. I think Victory of Death was the main, the final mission was the main thing changed. From what I experienced of it, it is about 95% the same. There's a couple of sections where before you needed more than one person to actually progress, and now you don't. I think it was the dragon part where you're sort of fighting them on the airship itself seemed shorter, but I could be wrong on that. It's been a while since we did it originally, but it seemed possibly shorter. For the most part, though, it was pretty much the same. So if you liked it or hated it before, you'll probably like it or hate it now.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen it yet. Well, I'll talk about that when I talk about my week, but that was interesting that you say they didn't change it that much. I would think, doing it in the group that we did, it seemed like to me they would have to change that a lot.
To at least make it shorter or something, but no.
To do it solo, yeah. It's still the same length of time, too, you think?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, certain parts were like fast. I think if you remember the first few bosses you fight at the beginning, where for us, like we wiped a lot and took a while to beat them.
Right.
Those are a lot shorter, just because they don't seem to have as large a health pool. So yeah, that bit, like certain fights probably are shorter than before, but in terms of actually what you're meant to do, they are pretty much the same. Obviously, as a Necro, I didn't struggle that much killing anything in there. Certain parts were a bit obnoxious. The undead gorilla section, if you remember that, was even more annoying this time.
Horrible just in the group, so yeah.
Because they seem to chain their knockdowns on you, so if there's like multiple ones hitting you, it's kind of very difficult to destroy those towers at that point. But yeah, aside from that, like minor things, it's not that different at all. Outside of that, I did spend some money upgrading my Mesmer's gear because I discovered he was actually still having a lot of rare items equipped, which at this point I should be having exotics. At one point I was looking into his runes because I've never actually equipped any of them to any of my characters really. And at that point I found that there is a rune of swiftness in the game, or rune of speed, I think it was rune of speed, where at the 6 stack, if you get 6 of them, it gives you a passive 25% speed boost.
Oh, wow.
Much like Necros and Rangers get, which I found very nice for my Mesmer, which I'm now using. Because having played Necro, it's not fun going back because you feel very sluggish.
Yeah, you're just traipsing along.
So, yeah, I did not know that rune existed.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize
whether it's meta or not, or if it's optimal, because I'm using it for convenience's sake. It's really nice.
Like the speed.
Mm-hmm. I'll probably be using that on any other class I roll that doesn't have it. I believe the Guardian doesn't have one at the moment, so I'll probably be using those when I hit level cap. I think the final thing I did, which was today, people who might remember that I did not like the Living Story that much, at least the final chapter that I did, because it will not leave my screen unless I actually complete it. I decided to splash out and buy the full Season 2 Living Story that I had not already unlocked. So, yeah. Not sure whether I regret that yet. I have completed the first chapter, which I actually did with you guys before. I'm not going to go and do the achievement because the rewards do not seem worth it to me, but it was bearable. Again, Necro is a lot more powerful than Mesmer's in terms of survivability, so I haven't really died much in them. We'll have to see how that goes in terms of completing the rest. I just want that stuff off my UI, telling me to do this stupid personal story thing. It's not going to go away until I do it.
That does just bug the heck out of you, doesn't it?
It does, especially when I do not actually get a choice in whether it appeared or not. I got a mail, I looked at the mail, and that put it on my screen.
And there it goes. Yep, now it's on your UI forever until you do it.
So, yep, I'm going to have to go through all that stuff again, including that last dragon fight, which I believe you still haven't actually experienced.
I have not, yeah. I need to get caught up in the personal story, and we'll have to do that together.
Yeah, because I'd rather not do that on my own again.
Yeah, and it sounds like I don't want to do it by myself. So yeah, so it sounds like this is the perfect time to do it.
Yeah, and that's pretty much everything I did.
Well, as for myself, I did, of course, what you said, the Straits and Malcor's Leap, completed that. Still working on my world completion. I got a long way to go yet, but slowly getting there. Then my Necro, I realized, for some reason, I was saving my personal story, and after I hit 80, I never went back to the personal story, and I noticed just today, as a matter of fact, that I still had my level 60 personal story to do, so I started working on that. So I need to finish that out. But then I thought, well, this is going to be a good opportunity for me to see see the end fight solo now, which you, I guess, apparently did as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I can find out what that is like. And then I also did some Winter State in July over on Guild Wars 1. Did a lot of snowball fights, which is always fun to hit people with snowballs. So there you go.
I don't remember. Is level 60 Claw Island, or was that the level before that?
Yeah, that's Claw Island. I'm up to the point now where I'm ready to do the actual Claw Island part itself.
So did you see Lion's Arch before everything? Because I heard that's what... that's one of the things that they changed with, is that you get to see the vision of it before it gets destroyed by Scarlet.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I stopped before I got to that part of it. So that's...
Okay, that should be interesting to see.
So that's going to be exciting. And Screenager in the chat room says, just a hint on the Rune of Speed, you might want to consider the Traveler Rune.
Oh, I'll see what this is now. So I have not heard of that one either.
So, yep. So you might want to look up the Traveler Rune.
Oh, this one actually has it too, as a 6 bonus.
It's got
I have to look into that.
The same swiftness bonus, but it tends to give you more useful stats.
Oh,
what he's saying in the chat.
That. I'm going to have to look into that.
So there you go. A pro tip from the chat room. We do love our chat room.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. I'm going to have to look into maybe replacing them, depending on how expensive they are.
So that's what we did in the game, since there's no Cithras to report what she did. But basically, some of the stuff she did is the Straits and Malcors with us. And I'm sure she probably PvP'd. That's pretty much probably her week.
And working on that
ever-present
legendary.
Yeah, that's right. She probably crafted more towards that legendary. We don't have a Guild Wars 2 Academy this week, so we are going to go on to donations. This week, we don't have any Patreon mentions, but we would love your support to help support Guild Wars players. You can simply go to the donations page, where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you will find rewards. That does include a mention or even a guest spot on this very show. As far as feedback, we do not have any new iTunes reviews as well, but we would love your support on iTunes as well. And actually, in case you didn't realize, why we always ask for the reviews on iTunes is the more reviews and the more 5-star reviews that you have, if you feel so inclined to give us 5 stars, it helps us on iTunes when people search for Guild Wars 2 podcast or Guild Wars podcast. The more reviews and ratings we have, the higher up we will show up in search results. So that is the reason why we want the iTunes reviews. We do have some featured comments, and they all come to us from our last episode, which was number 29, the Lion's Arch theme park. Mel says, I'd like to point out that Felicia Day was not brought up last week because Drac was MIA. So let's start the counter back at 1. Well, Mel, we've made up for it this week.
Yeah.
Maximum Zojja and Felicia Day this week. That's all I'm saying.
The maximum. The next comment is by Zero Kitsune, and they said, just a note, this is in reference, by the way, to the discussion we had last week about necromancers in jumping puzzles, where we kind of found them less than ideal compared to mesmers, who have that ever so wonderful portal that we have kind of become very reliant on to actually succeed. They said, just a note, necromancers in jumping puzzles have their own amazingly selfish trick to aid them. The fine skill's Spectral Walk gives you both a speed boost and a few seconds do-over. Trigger before a dangerous jump, miss the ledge, and click a second time to pop back to the original trigger position. It can help even in cases where the fall will be fatal, since you can trigger during the fall. Unlike our fine mesmer friends, or crazy folk using watchwork portal devices, the Necromancer's Spectral Walk only aids themselves. Have you any experience with watchwork portal devices?
I don't
know what those are.
I'm not sure what that is either. I'm going to have to look that up.
I did actually play around with Spectral Walk just after I read this. It's handy if you're on your own, definitely. I think I tend to.
Never even thought about even using that.
I didn't even know it worked like that.
I actually didn't either. To tell you this. Yeah, I've only used it a couple times on my Necro. I usually don't use it, and I usually don't have it slotted at all. Mm-hmm. But I might have to check that out and see how, because I mean, everybody knows I don't do jumping puzzles that much anyway. The only time I do one is if I'm with you two, and then
usually we're on mesmers.
Yeah, usually you're mesmer, so I don't have to worry about it if I can't make a jump or whatever. Because as I said, I know it, and it might be all in my mind, but I'm usually on my main, which is my Norn Ranger. I can't jump on my Norn. It's like, you guys are just jumping and jumping around and flying and having no problems, and I'm like, I can't make that jump. And you're like, yeah, you can, it's easy. Nope, I cannot do that jump. I'm too big to make that jump.
Yeah, I think it's probably like a mixture of both. Like, we've done a lot of these, and I think it actually is harder depending on what race you're playing. I think Char probably have it the worst because they're both big and their sort of build is different from humans.
I can't imagine it. But though we've been in jumping puzzles and I've seen Chars and they just but I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But anyway, I will check out that Spectral Walk though. I might have to try one of the easier jumping puzzles on my Necro just to try the Spectral Walk and see how that works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As for me, and probably Sithwith as well, we're probably going to stick with Mesmers whenever we do jumping puzzles. This could be handy, though, for certain other stuff, like just random vistas or anything we find on the landscape.
Yeah, that's what I had thought, too. I thought, hey, that might come in handy for some vistas as well.
Mm-hmm.
Something to keep in mind.
Yep. Now, the last comment we have today is by Amarist, and this is in reference to guild anthems and certain other things. I don't quite know what this is about in general, but it's something to mention.
Part of it was announced for the guild halls, you will have the option of creating a guild anthem for your guild.
Oh, yes, of course. I remember now, yeah. Yeah, it's quite an interesting concept, though.
Yes, it is, actually.
I've seen a game actually do that. I know, obviously, Lotro has the music system, but it doesn't really have an anthem for, like, your kid or anything like that. So, yeah, it's interesting. They said, Guild Anthem, I really need to look into that one, and so do I. I imagine that Tequila will be a loud, hilarious cacophony of anthems being played right before the lighthouse is destroyed. As for guild channels, this is very important to me. I join guilds as part of trying to gather and communicate with more people. Getting separated by a wall of silence and a lack of extra channels becomes a barrier for me. And now they also talk about the pre-order controversy, which we kind of discussed last week and the week before that, for people who are curious. And they said ArenaNet really botched it, not quite with the pricing, but with how the expansion was presented for the pricing and the lack of information about Heart of Thrones altogether. It left fiddle ground for rumblings in the player base, and the core game included portion helped light the fuse. Yeah, I think that's kind of what we also kind of ended up concluding last time. A lot of factors, and they kind of very badly presented this initial thing.
They could have done things a lot better. That's true.
They also gave a PSA for people who have not jumped into the Mystic Forge in Lion's Arch. Should go do that now. Do it at least once. You'll thank them afterwards.
Yes, I agree.
Definitely do that.
Yep.
Very fun.
I'm sure by now everybody's done it at least once or knows what happens when you do, but just in case we won't spoil it, just like they say, go to Lion's Arch, jump in, and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Emerist.
And we don't have any emails this week, but you can contact us at podcast@guildwarsplayers.com. You can send us questions, topic, advice, or anything you really want to. That's podcast@guildwarsplayers.com. You can also follow us and send us ask on Tumblr. That is guildwarsplayers.tumblr.com. You can find us on Twitter. The Players Alliance Network is @PlayersAlly, and that is ALLY. At Guild Wars Players, Sithrith is at Sithrith. Draculetta myself is at Draculetta_72. And Athelros is at Athelros. We can also be reached in game. Sithrith.6741. I am Draculetta.7410. And Athelros is Athelros.3164. The Players Alliance has 3 live shows on our network. Monday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, it is DDO Players News. Thursdays at 6:30 Eastern is the show Guild Wars Players News. And on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, it is Lotro Players News. And you can join us for all of our live shows. Just head over to guildwarsplayers.com/live. And that is it for this week. It is a little bit shorter show because we really didn't have any news, but we did talk about Zojja, so everybody should be excited for the show. So this is Draculetta, reminding you to always bring out your Zojja Mini.
Refrain.